All right, so we've taken a look at attributes, methods. We took a look at the Java docs, which gave us the tools, right, to actually learn the methods for some of those classes in those Java standard library packages. A little bit of a correction in my previous video. So if you go back to the definition of the Java standard library, it's a collection of packages. So small change in the language there, and I put the definition of package, which is a collection of classes. So small tweak there. Just a correction in the last video. I made sure to correct it in the slides. So let's take a look at our first standard class. Kind of a unique one. It has kind of follows its own rules, unfortunately, but it is one we're familiar with. That's going to be the string class. So the string class, part of the java.lang package, of course, is used to store and manipulate text in Java. So we have the length method here, for example. That's going to return the number of characters in the string. So let's look at hello world. Hello world has, let's see, 5 letters, comma 6. The space is a character, so that's 7. World, that's 12 characters. And then with the exclamation point, that's 13. So this length method, if I called it on this hello world string, it would return 13. 13 is an int, an integer, so the return type of length is integer or int. Two lowercase and uppercase, that's going to convert the string casing to lowercase if you call this method, uppercase if you call that method. Equals, so equals has an argument. You put another string in here, and the string calling the equals, right, to the left of the equals is going to be compared to this other string. So if the two strings are exactly equal, it'll return true. If the two strings are not equal, return false. True or false, that's a Boolean return type. Contains another Boolean return type. It's a similar comparison, but instead of checking if they're equal, it's just going to check if the other string is inside of the string calling the contains method. Last one is char at. This one's kind of funky because it's zero-based indexing. So what do I mean by indexing? So char at, you give it a position. So usually we would think, right, char at first position at 1. So you would pass in an integer. So notice the arguments do have the data type there. So char at int index, I can actually go here at 1, and it would return the letter H. Unfortunately, what actually happens is when I pass 1, it returns the letter E. So we expect it to be H, but it returns E. So why does it do that? That's because programmers will actually start counting at 0. The first position, the H, is at position 0. The letter E is at position 1. Letter L is at position 2, and so forth. So it's kind of 1 off. I know this is really confusing, maybe even annoying, but just know it's something that's true of many programming languages, at least all the ones I have learned. And the zero-based indexing, it's going to persist in some of the other concepts and structures we learn, particularly arrays. So just know this is kind of a preview into one of the many headaches you're going to run into, which is, of course, zero-based indexing. Programmers, we start counting at 0. So before we actually start calling these methods, before I show you here on the right, we need to cover a few more things. Um, just remember strings, a little bit of review. We use the double quotes when doing a declaration or assignment, or I should say initialization or assignment. So on the right side, right, the actual value of the string, you got to wrap it in these double quotes. A little bit of review there. So it turns out if you're going to use a string method, you actually need to declare a string object first. This is true of all instance methods. I'm not going to go into details what an instance method is just yet. We're going to cover that in a future lesson. But this is familiar to you declaring strings because we did that with the other primitives and string a non-primitive, of course. The funny thing about strings, it actually looks a lot like you're declaring a primitive. It has almost the exact same format. That's actually why we learned how to declare strings at the same time as the other primitives. Remember, string, not a primitive. It's actually a class. It's an object. So it's considered a non-primitive. So you don't, so you're going to follow this syntax. You're just going to use the double quotes on the right, the value. you're going to use the type first and then the name of the object or the name of the variable. Variables and objects, kind of the same thing. So the name of this object is message. So message is the name of the object. I know we called that the variable. In terms of class objects in Java, variable name or object name is kind of the same thing. So something unique about the string class is you don't need to import it. Now, what am I talking about importing? We've never discussed this before. So let's actually take a look at what importing means. So it turns out if you're using classes from a package, you need to import the package at the top of your code. Here's what the syntax looks like. So before you do your class declaration, right, your public class main, if you're using a package, you would actually put all your imports for the code first. So I'd do something like java.util. Java.lang.string. So that's an import statement. Now, it turns out the java.lang package is so important, so useful to us Java programmers, you don't need to import it because the compiler automatically imports it for you. Now, for any other packages that we cover in the class, because we're going to cover many different ones from the Java standard library, you do need to do the import. Otherwise, you'll get these not found errors. So basically, the code's not going to know where this method is coming from, where this class is coming from, unless you specifically import it. It's like you're telling it, hey, I need to borrow this code from this other package. Let me tell you where to find it and the name of the class. So check out the syntax, right? It's the package name and then class name. So I'll show you what it would look like for the string class. Of course, we don't need to do this. Notice you didn't do that in your previous programs. That's because the compiler does it automatically. We will do an import, however, for the random class because that's not part of the java.lang package. All right, so we declared a string object, string message equals hello world. Remember, you had to declare the object first before using a method. Now that we declared the object, we can actually call methods on that object. So notice we're using that dot and then the method name and then the parentheses in order to call the method. And then the message, which is the object name, comes right before. So here we're using the to uppercase method to capitalize the message string or the message object or message string object if we're using that full description, right? So what is it going to do? What is the to uppercase going to do? Well, let's check it out. Let's actually test it out. So I'm going to do string message equals hello world. Oops, a little quick there. And then we're going to do string upper message. So as it turns out, the to uppercase returns the new string. So it's actually going to return an entire string. That means I can assign it to a variable here. If I go here, let's go to string javadoc, I can actually verify that. Let's see. So we're going to go to uppercase. And notice the return type is string. It's going to return the new string in full uppercase. So that's what the to uppercase methods does. And that's where we're able to assign it to this upper message variable. You certainly don't have to do that, but just showing you, right, the return types and how they work. So we could do system.out.println, upper message. I use the tab key there. Once I get a suggestion, you can just hit tab to use that autocomplete. Oops, I'm getting a little frozen here. Okay. Yeah, not sure why I can't see the entire program. Let me zoom out a bit. There we go. That was strange. So I just want to make sure I had my brackets here. Let's run this code. And there you go. Hello world in uppercase. Now, again, you don't have to assign it to a variable. It's nice to assign it to a variable because then you could use upper message all over the place instead of continuously doing message.to uppercase. You don't want to do like a million method calls. Do not repeat yourself, right? Dry principle encoding. But yeah, just to show you, this will do the same thing. Hello world again. Yeah, so that's methods in the string class. First, of course, we needed the object. And the reason we needed the object first is because it's an instance method, the two uppercase instance method. We can verify that by clicking here on the instance method category, and notice two uppercase is still going to be there. Oops, under instance methods. If I go to the other type, static methods, notice two uppercase is no longer on the list. I gotta scroll all the way up. Yeah, JavaDoc's really long for these standard libraries. No two uppercase on the static methods. So we'll talk about those in the next class, the math class. But anyways, the output of the variable upper message would be hello world. Um, in this case, let's look at a very unique. I almost got ahead of myself there. Let's look at a very unique kind of implicit object casting, if you want to call it, of the string class. So usually you have to declare a string object first. That's kind of required for instance methods. We declare the string object, then we use the method. It turns out with strings, you can actually just straight up use the literal. So you don't have to use, I can shorten this code into one line, which works fine, right, for this example. But if I was doing a full-fledged program, right, I would use more variables. So let me show you there. System.print .out.println hello world to uppercase. It's gonna again print out hello world. This is unique to the string class where you can just straight up use the literal. That's because Java will automatically treat the hello world string literal as a string object behind the scenes. This is very, very, very unique. You can't do this with other classes. Um, yeah, so direct use of methods on literals is unique to the string class. So that's why I say the string class is kind of weird. It kind of acts like a primitive. It has its own set of rules. I think the only thing we can take away here is that usually you need, I kind of lied there, right? You need a string object. You could use the literal because technically Java will treat that as an object. Here's that example again. Just kind of a weird exception. You're probably not going to do it like this very often, but just want to show you how the string class is a little bit strange. So here's the string Java doc. We already took a look at the Java doc from Oracle there. Let's now take a look at another class.